Hello, ladies, gentlemen, welcome back. Today, the Canucks are on a bye week, so we're going to go and revisit some of my old takes. So back in December 27th to be exact, and please don't go back and watch that video. I was terrible on camera. It was the 8th video I had put on this channel, and we're in the 80s now. So back on December 27th, I put out my 6 predictions for this Canucks NHL season. Now, you have to keep in mind where we were in December. The Canucks had just snuck into the play-in round, took down the Minnesota Wild, defeated the reigning Stanley Cup champions in the St. Louis Blues, and pretty handily, I might add, and then took the Vegas Golden Knights to 7 games and were 1 win away from the conference final. Now, you can look back and say, well, that wasn't very sustainable. You had ridiculous goaltending that really carried the Canucks throughout the playoffs and is the only reason that Vegas series went more than 5. But hey, it was a positive time. And now we'd also come off of the Canucks losing a bunch of players in free agency. You lost Tyler Toffoli, but he didn't really play much for the Canucks anyways. You lost Chris Tanev, a big piece of that team, but we had just brought in Nate Schmidt for a 3rd-round pick in a trade with Vegas. Well, we lost Troy Stetcher, but we just brought in Travis Hamonic. Well, we had just lost Jacob Markstrom, but we brought in Braden Holtby, who's probably worse, but Thatcher Demko is going to try to get the starting job this year. So after this whole mess of an offseason, things were pretty positive in Canucks land. The thought was maybe they'll take a step back, but they might not. Things might go well, and these were sort of my takes. And some of them are good, I think. Some of them I've kind of hit nail on the head, and some of them are not very good. And to start off with a not very good one, my first prediction was Jake Virtanen would score 18 goals in 56 games. Now, this would be a 26 goal pace, which would be his best season, but he had slowly been trending up, and I really liked Jake's game last year. He went out, scored 18 goals. I think like 4 of them were empty netters, though, but still, he was out there for empty netters. That's not something that you can take away from him. So if we look at where he's at so far, he's played 32 games this year out of the 37 that the Canucks have played. He has 4 goals, no assists. Over a 56 game pace, that would be 7. Yikes. This was a bad take. Jake has been not great this year. He has looked unenthusiastic at times. Just sort of a bad season overall for Jake. But this is a write-off. You know what? You can have one bad one. Let's get into number 2. Number 2 was that the Canucks would have a top 10 save percentage in the NHL. And my thought process was, look, we went from Markstrom, who was one of the best goalies in the league last year. We replaced him with Braden Holtby, but Thatcher Demko is going to come in. He's going to take that starting role, and he's going to roll with it and play pretty well. I think I might be right on this one. To get into the top 10, I looked at last year's save percentages for every team, and the 10th best was a 910, so 91% save percentage. Right now, what do the Canucks have? A 910. So Demko's at a 917 and Holtby's at an 894, which is not very good, but Demko has played about 2/3 of the games, so Demko's save percentage is weighted higher. If you just take the basic math of shots against the Canucks and goals against the Canucks and do all the math, it ends up being 910. So if they can keep this up for the rest of the year, they can get sort of that 10th or 9th goaltending spot, and I think I might have nailed this one. Number 3, Thatcher Demko gets 36 starts. And this seemed like kind of a hot take at the time when I said it, because the thought process was you're bringing in Braden Holtby. They're each going to play right around half the games. So it might be 30 to 26, 32 to 24. The real idea was they're going to split games at the beginning, which is exactly what happened, and then the better goalie will get the starting net. Hopefully there is a better goalie, was sort of the thought process. And my prediction was Demko would be the better goalie. He would come into his own, and he would get 36 of the 56 games. So where are we right now on that? Well, the current numbers on starts, Demko has 25, Holtby has 12. So with the 19 games remaining, this would have to be an 11-8 split. So Demko would start 11, Holtby would start 8. That's no question. Demko probably starts 15, and Holtby might start 4. With the way this season has been going. So it looks like I'm going to get this one right, because I did say at least 36 starts. So it looks like I've also nailed this one. Number 4. This one was my thought on what the Canucks need to do to make the playoffs. And they've done this one too. The Canucks will get 15 points in their 9 games against Ottawa. So that would mean something like a 7-1-1 record in those 9 games, or, like a you win. You got to win at least 7. You got to go 7-1-1, or you got to win 8 of the games. You can go 8-1. Basically, you'd have to dominate Ottawa, and that's what they've done. The Canucks are 5-0 against Ottawa for 10 points. So they need 5 points in their last 4 games against Ottawa for my prediction to be correct, which means they need to go either 2-1-1 or better, or 1-0-3 would also be okay, but that would also be a very demoralizing way for me to hit that prediction. So if they go 2-1-1 against Ottawa in the last 4 games, I think that's pretty reasonable. I think you'd hope to do that against the Ottawa Senators. Then that one will be correct as well. So I'd say I'm on pace for 3 out of 4 so far, but let's get into number 5, because this one also isn't going to come true. My number 5 prediction was Quinn Hughes gets top 5 Norris votes. This one was dead on arrival. Basically, right on the start of the season, Quinn Hughes was popping off offensively. He was at like a point a game. He was leading the Vancouver Canucks in points, leading all defensemen in points quite handily, but he was really struggling in his defensive zone. And if you think about your average PWHA, Pacific, or something, the Writers Association, all the media, the people who vote on the Norris, they look at, for picking a defenseman of the year, they look at 2 things. They look at points and they look at plus minus, and that's it. Well, Quinn Hughes was crushing it in points, and he was getting crushed in plus minus. He had the league worst plus minus while having the most points for a defenseman. Not a great balance. But since then, Hughes has gotten better defensively, but his offense has dried up. So you're kind of in a spot where Hughes isn't going to get many Norris votes, if any. This one was not a good take. His production's just been declining, although his plus minus has been steadying up. But maybe next year, right? He's what, 21? He's going to be a hell of a good defenseman, and I don't think you can take that away from him. And number 6, my final prediction, and this has gone about the most Canucks way possible. My number 6 prediction was that Olli Juolevi would have more points this year than Louis Eriksson. This is a mess. Juolevi has played 15 games. He has 1 goal, no assists. So 1 point. So you think, oh, this one's dead, right? Well, Louis Eriksson has played in 7 games, and he has 1 assist. And that's it. So this one's a tie right now. It's really whichever one of them gets back in the lineup and gets on the board. I thought I'd be looking at something like Louis would have 10 points and Juolevi would have 12. But it looks like it's a race to 2. And if Juolevi can get there, then I will go 4 for 6. Otherwise, if Louis gets there, I'll probably go 3 for 6, maybe a little worse. So anyways, we're going to revisit these closer, or right at the end of the season. I have 2 videos planned for like right after the season, sort of like a grades for all the players, and then looking at my mid-season, or looking at my preseason predictions and see how they fared. Let me know what predictions you had before this season, and how the Canucks have probably let you down on most of them. Obviously I didn't make a prediction on where they'd finish in the standings here, although I did do that in a different video where I predicted sort of how the North Division would shake up, and I had the Canucks 4th in that one, and it looks like they're going to be around 5th or 6th, probably 6th, so that one also not working out for me. Anyways, that's all I've got for this one. Make sure you hit like if you enjoyed this video and you want to stay tuned for more Canucks content. You can hit that subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter, right up there, ParkersPucks, right there. Yeah, I've got, like, look at all this production value. Hit subscribe. Anyways, that's all I've got for you. I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow.